masculinity is remembered. It is not necessarily learned. I do think it's important to talk about how this information came to me. And I had a spiritual awakening around being a man. Now, you don't have just one spiritual awakening. You have several throughout your life if you're open to that kind of thing. Some people think you have a spiritual awakening and then, wow, I'm spiritual. But if you think that you just have one spiritual awakening, that is the ego's spiritual awakening. And usually the path is that you might get into new age stuff. You might become a Christian. You might become entranced by some other ideology, but a genuine, everlasting spiritual awakening is the constant removing and destruction and shattering of illusions and delusions. You'll be on a quest for truth. And I have been on this quest for truth pretty much my whole life, being raised on a farm near where Edgar Cayce was born and raised. It was a very strange experience. And so what I talk about in these videos, specifically about masculinity, it is something that kind of fell into my lap. But it was also the answer to questions I have been asking for my entire life. I study 8 to 10 hours a day. I also make music and art. I'm constantly in the question and answer phase, asking the universe questions and then getting answers. I realize I'm weird in that regard. I am weird. And also there were things in the existing literature that I wasn't seeing. I had questions, kind of in the same way that we wrote The Machinations of Ego. We saw gaps in the existing literature about ego. And specifically how this book came to be was there's a line in A New Earth where Eckhart says, just ignore a conditioned mind. Just ignore it. We're like, how? So basically this book is a glossary of all the different ways that ego hides, expresses itself. So basically you could just ignore people. You can ignore angry, jealous, petty, projecty people. That's what this book is. It's like a handbook, a field manual to help you become more conscious. So the book that we're working on about masculinity is about the spiritual awakening that I had around masculinity. And, many people have come to me and said, this is a unique take. This is a different take. This is like something that I've never heard before. And I'm like, well, yeah. Why would it be the same old thing that you've heard before? Why would we do that? Why would we make music that sounds just like other music? Why would we write songs that are like other songs? Why would we make art that's just like anything else? Why would we do that? No. The stuff that we're going to talk about in this video today is how I remembered it. I remembered it because it was old. It was ancient. And I know of a couple other men who've had similar types of awakenings. And I'm definitely not putting myself in the league of these men. But, I'm reminded of the story of Bill W. and how he just kind of had a spiritual awakening. And he realized he was an alcoholic and that he couldn't drink alcohol anymore. He was sitting in a hospital bed and he just kind of went, I had that same spiritual awakening that Bill W. did. The 12th step of the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous is having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. So you're going to get a spiritual awakening if you study and learn and desire to have a spiritual awakening. If you want to have a spiritual awakening around your own masculinity and your own manhood, listen up. Eckhart Tolle talks about how he came to understand the false self and the ego. He had an experience where he was sitting in a room and he couldn't live with himself. He said, I just can't live with myself anymore. And then he had the question like, well, who is this self that I can't live with? Who am I? Who am I? So many people over the years have had these spiritual awakenings. Some of us want to write about it. Some of us want to talk about it. There are people out there that have this kind of awakening and they don't say a word. They just go on with their lives. But for weirdos like myself, we want to tell people about it. We want to share the good news. This works for me, and it can work for all men if they want to, the same way that AA works for all people if they want it to, the same way that working on ego issues works for all people. We're not all that different. I used to reject spiritual teachings, but I had to go through a whole lot of pain before I realized, oh, there's a lot of truth in there. So today we're going to talk about how we remember masculinity. So masculinity is not something you download from culture. It is not a checklist. It is not an aesthetic. It is not a set of approved behaviors. It is remembered. And that is why it is so difficult, because you cannot install what is already there. You can only remove what is covering it. So I've got some show notes here, and I've started a Discord group, and I'm going to start posting the show notes on that Discord group. And you can join it by clicking the join link below. It's for men only, ladies. For men only. But I'm getting started with the men's group again, and we're just going to study the teachings. We're just going to focus on what it is to be men. If you're a straight man, we want you to focus on yourself. We don't talk about women. We leave women to the women and men to the men. But once you're a man, you will be a much better husband, father, son, uncle, boss, co-worker. This work does not have to be forever. It could be 5 minutes or 5 years. So many people try to approach the topic of masculinity like they can learn it. Can you learn it? Most men try to read about it. They imitate it. They argue about it online. They debate definitions. But masculinity is not information. It's orientation. Now think about a sexual orientation. Like being a gay man orients you in your life, in the same way that masculinity restored in a man will orient him towards living a life where there is a solid container, an energy field that's fielding. That's the only way I could describe it. Just or organizes reality around you. Because when your masculinity is restored, you're living in an ultimate truth that you are a man. You're not adopting feminine traits or behaviors. You're not wearing a costume of an evolved male or a male feminist. No, you're a man, bitch. You're a man, and you own it. And this ultimate absolute truth organizes reality around you, because the universe loves truth. The universe supports truth. So when you're in the truth of who you actually are, the universe pulls out all the stops. You get emails from people. You get phone calls. People come up to you at Walmart and help you. You become a collaborative component for the universe because you're living in this ultimate truth. So you don't learn it. Many of us in modern culture, we operate out of these scripts and this conditioning and this programming, something that this book addresses. Most people are conditioned. Almost all people are socially conditioned. They're just running scripts and acting out of impulses and reactions and neuroses, and they're not even real people in that regard. There's the archetype. I'll call it an archetype. The archetype of the non-player character, the NPC, someone who's just operating out of scripts. They don't know what they're saying. They don't know what they're doing. An unconscious person has no choice. An unconscious person has no choice. So that's why you're compassionate towards unconscious people. They literally have no fucking idea what they are doing. They are just acting out of these scripts. So the scripts running in a man's nervous system reject new information if he has been conditioned to suppress himself, appease others, overthink, apologize, soften, dilute, perform. Then any new information that you offer, any new idea about strength or masculinity or directness feels dangerous because it threatens that identity. People will cling to those identities until it almost kills them. I myself cling to that shaman identity, even though it felt very restrictive and itchy and wasn't really accurate to the evolution that I had undergone at some point. A shamanic initiation is very powerful. But I do believe that in this modern culture, you're eventually supposed to get out of that. In the last video, I talked about how I was in that magician archetype for way too long. And now that I operate in and out of the 4 different archetypes, I'm getting better at articulating this thing that was dumped in my lap. So thank you for going along on the journey with me. So when a man is confronted with something that is against the script, the body says no before the mind even understands why. It's not ignorance, it's programming. I can see people, whenever I speak the truth to people, and at this point, I know what the truth is. You go through enough trials and tribulations and experiences, and you raise your consciousness, and you eventually reach a level of consciousness where you recognize the truth when you hear it. It's the same thing with lie. I recognize when somebody's lying to me. Most people lie to me. I work in recovery with prospects and people in early recovery, but most people lie to me. And so in order to navigate in this world, especially when you're a sober person, a conscious person, you will realize most people are lying or covering something up, or they're ashamed of something. And so you eventually recognize the truth when you hear it, because when someone's speaking the truth, it feels good. The truth just feels so good. And when you live in the truth, as I said before, things get a lot easier. So when you're living your life and it's a lot easier than it used to be when you were living in a world of lies, you notice when there's grit. You notice when something doesn't feel right. It's because there's some lies batting around. So society is not built around masculine initiation. And I've said this before, but I'll say it again, because when you realize it, it's like, holy shit. We live in a culture that has largely organized itself around safety, consensus, comfort, and emotional cushioning. And there's nothing wrong with those values, but they do not initiate men. A man may not even know anything is missing because he has been praised for being manageable. He may be successful. He may be kind. He may be intelligent. He may be loved and still not be initiated. When masculinity is absent, it does not always look like weakness. Sometimes it looks like endless accommodation. And I know there are men out there who can feel me. Like, we have let people get away with shit in our presence and around us because we're men. What are we going to do? I mean, I accommodated people so much that I actually stopped existing. My needs didn't matter. My wants didn't matter. It actually led me to I had horrible IBS. I was working a job I hated. People at my job didn't like me because I was fucking miserable. And there's a difference between allowing and accommodating. But in a culture that revolves around safety, consensus, comfort, and emotional cushioning, I had to choose my words with care. I had to choose. I had to understand that people were going to misunderstand me whenever I spoke. Just this morning on X, there was a conversation I was having with a man, and he thought I was insulting him, and I wasn't. He thought I was being argumentative, and I just said a word. So you really start to realize that people are, like, if you accommodate delusional people, if you accommodate people who are projecting, you're gonna lose yourself, dude. You're gonna fucking lose yourself because you're accommodating falseness. You're accommodating things that aren't true. When I realized this, that when people say you hurt me, and you didn't, don't apologize. Don't apologize. Just because someone says you hurt me, and you'll hear this a lot from women, you hurt me. And maybe you do hurt women with your words. Maybe you do. And that's for women. But just because somebody says you hurt me doesn't mean you actually hurt them. You got to do a lot of inner work. A lot of people manipulate others. They want apologies for things that you didn't do. The last time I apologized for something that I didn't really do, I'm going to tell you exactly what it fucking was. It was my father-in-law and his wife. His wife was being delusional about something. And I said, I didn't do anything wrong. Why would I apologize? He goes, just apologize. It'll make her feel better. Just apologize. It'll make her feel better. So I called her. I apologized. It didn't work. Didn't work. Didn't work. That was the last time I apologized for something I didn't do. Because it rarely works. It usually, so if I had to do it all over again, I would say, I didn't hurt you. What was it? I didn't go to a wedding. That was it. I was too sick to go to a wedding. And she took it personally. So you learn these things through life experience. Maybe you've gone through something similar as well. I miss his wife. I miss my father-in-law, but they are delusional. They are delusional people. They don't even exist in reality. And that's okay. That's okay. I can accept people for where they are. I just don't have to be in the same room because I don't want to end up in a padded cell. And hanging out with delusional and illusion-filled people will put you in a padded cell. All the people who are in mental hospitals right now are there because of this. Some people will just drive you fucking crazy. But when you're conscious, you can put up with it. But man, why put yourself through that garbage? So when a man is initiated into manhood, he will not want to be around a bunch of kids. He won't want to be around people who are not initiated, because when you're around other men and grown-up men, there's an ease, there's a flow. It's like a brohood. There's jokes, there's laughter, there's talk about sex. There might be nudity. There might be dick jokes. It's like the moment you grow up, you get to be a kid forever. And my husband is grappling with this right now. He wants to do the kid stuff, but he's skipping that step of being initiated into manhood. I've offered to initiate him into manhood multiple times. He just doesn't want it. He still thinks there is something to learn in that boy phase. So I said, babe, why don't you be the example? Why don't you be the one that wants to hang on to boyhood? And we're going to see how bad it can get for you. Let's see how much more pain you have to go through before you finally grow up. I'm a little bit ahead of him. I'm a couple years, because when I realized that I was not a man, I was like, oh shit. And I'm going to talk about that later in this video. This is going to be a long video, y'all. So strap in. So initiation happens through life. In my experience, I was not taught masculinity. I was initiated. It happened through life. It happened through loss, through conflict, through responsibility, through moments where I could not hide behind explanation or theory. I couldn't hide behind an explanation or theory. But here's the difference, okay? I had tools, I had language, I had support, I had a stack of books, I had the ability to ask questions and seek answers, I had a supportive spouse, I had a group of sober friends who worked a really good program, I had mentors that I could call and ask anything. Without these things, initiation can feel like destruction instead of restoration. But the old life will be destroyed and the old patterns will fall away. Now, I've spent a lifetime amassing these tools and these resources, and also having the language and the fearlessness and the drive to look, got a big ring in, to do these things. If you don't have these things, life will support you in whatever way it needs to support you. Like these initiations, the deeper I go into this, it happens to everybody. The people in your life are there for a reason. Everything is there for a reason, for your benefit. And I'm getting to the point of like, wow, really everything works out for you, right? Everything just works out for you, like all the time. You don't even have to worry about anything anymore. It just all works out for you. And how much more evidence do you need of that? That everything you need it's there for you. You were not dropped off on this planet with no resources or help. I mean, because I can almost see one person exit my life and then another person will come on. It's like we're all just doing all of this stuff together. It is remarkable. But without these things, it can feel like destruction. So get your books, get your support system. If you want to remember your masculinity, get it. Join the Discord. You could talk to me. You can find me on Discord. I'm Shaman Patrick on Discord. Just find me. Talk to me. I will talk to you. I talk to people all day, every day. I call alcoholics. I talk to people all day, every day. This is no different. Give me a shout. But if you just want to argue with me, or if you want to tell me that I'm wrong about the experience that I had, listen. That's not what this is about. Because to remember, you must forget. Oh no. You must forget. Oh no. All types of spiritual masters will tell you how important it is to have beginner's mind. And when people don't have beginner's mind, they are unreachable and they are unteachable. I start every day reaching for a book or a reading. Lately, it's been the audiobook of The Power of Now. But I don't know anything. I can't know anything. It's a brand new day. Everything has changed. Are things going to carry over? I don't know how the day is going to unfold. This is a good practice in life, spiritually or anything. You don't know. Because when you start to think that you know too much, that's the ego. The ego thinks it can know things. You can't know shit. So when you forget everything you think you know, you get to live in the truth because you're not defending your knowledge. You're not defending your intellect anymore. You get into the body and things just unfold around you. That was the spiritual awakening that I had around the masculine container and the masculine field. I'm like, literally everything just kind of works out for your benefit, even if it looks like it's terrible. Huh. How could I teach that to somebody who's homeless? How could I teach that to somebody whose daughter just died? I can't teach that to somebody in a crisis. But somehow, perhaps during that crisis, they might have a spiritual awakening and realize something. But to remember, you must forget, because it's hard to remember stuff that you think you already know. So you can't remember your masculinity while clinging to every belief you currently hold. You must forget what you think you know. Pare the language down to simple absolutes. I am a man. I have weight. I take up space. I am responsible. I do not apologize for existing. Watch what happens in your body when you say those things. Do you tighten? Do you flinch? Do you feel guilt? I still have some cringe around I am a man. It fucking I am a man. I am a man. How badly was I shamed for being a man? How badly was I shamed? Because I should be able to say what I am without getting triggered or flinching. So those reactions are the conditioning, talking. You know how people would do trigger warnings and stuff like that? You want to get triggered. When you get triggered, you notice where you're wounded or where you're stuck. So you want to get triggered. You don't want to avoid getting triggered. I used to watch things that I disagreed with and get triggered and just let that trigger play itself out. But I'm also kind of a weirdo obsessed with truth. So if you want to forget what you think you know, start by interrupting your certainty. Take one belief you hold about masculinity and argue the opposite side honestly. Spend a week without defending your opinions. Oh my God, this is so hard. You just don't defend your opinions. Don't defend them. Speak less, listen more. Get into your body daily through lifting weights, walking, cold water, sex. In this work, we're like, have a lot of sex, jerk off a lot, ejaculate a lot. This work is all about getting into the body. And one of the easiest, quickest ways to get into the body is just to have some sex with yourself or with another person or with other people. Breath. Stand naked in front of a mirror and drop the commentary. Notice every phrase that begins with men should or men are and question where it came from. Get in the gym and be around other men. This is so important. I worked with somebody and he wanted to work out at home. And I said, but you need to be around other men. You need to be in the masculine field around other men. Men need to be around other men. Because if you work in an office, you work around a bunch of women. You do. Unless you work in an office that's all men, like a roofing company or something like that. But usually, the only time a man can be in the presence of other men and only men is in the gym locker room. It used to not be this way. It used to not be this way at all. Men had their own spaces and women had their own spaces. But getting into the gym and being around other men is very good for you as a man. And being in the field and experiencing the container, because some of the guys at the gym have really fucking strong fields and really strong containers. And when you're in the presence of a really strong container and a really nice masculine field, it feels really good. You get to try it out. But this guy that I work with, he said, I'm going to work out at home. I'm just going to work out at home. And I'm like, well, what? But that's the easy way. That's the comfortable way. Get in the fucking car and drive to the fucking gym. Men need discomfort. Men need a challenge. And we would get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym. That taught us more about being men than anything else. People would look at us like we're crazy. They're like, why are you getting up so early? Why would we not? Why would we not? Why would we not challenge ourselves? Why would we not set goals? Why would we not do difficult or hard or uncomfortable things? Men need to be challenged with real fucking shit. So getting into your body, standing naked in front of a mirror. The mirror ritual is something that I think is very powerful. Many men just don't look at themselves unless you're gay or you turn yourself on or something like that. I mean, I look at myself in a mirror. I look at myself quite a bit. I mean, I do YouTube. I look at myself a lot. Some people might even say that I'm obsessed with myself. And I'm like, no, I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm not. Thank you for projecting onto me. When I was using AI to make music videos, I was putting a version of myself through sexual things. And they said, you're being narcissistic. And I'm like, no, bitch, I'm being ethical. I found that real pictures make better footage. So I'm using myself. Why would I use anybody else? Don't be a sick bitch. I'm gonna use an avatar of myself, and plus there's an immediate. It's like it was for a reason. It was for a very good artistic reason. See how people project? Isn't it fucking crazy? As if they don't know their intentions. They don't know what they're doing with their life. They don't know that they're operating out of a script, so they think everybody else is too. I promise you, everything that I talk about, it's deliberate. There's a deliberate intention for it. Notice every phrase that begins with men should or men are and question where it came from. Get in the gym and being around other men, forgetting is not intellectual, it is physical. It happens when you stop performing what you were taught and start inhabiting what is already there. So what words trigger you? Strength, dominance, hierarchy, authority, ownership, father, leader. Even the words masculine and feminine can trigger people. So if I say you talk like a woman to a man and he feels like that's an insult, well, you know how he feels about women. He doesn't think that highly about women. But if you tell me, Patrick, you're talking like a woman, and I'm like, you're right, I am. Let me tell this like a man. Two different things. I don't have any negative associations with femininity or women. But if I realize that I'm talking like a woman, it's not going to be very effective for me as a man to think or talk like a woman. It's very simple that way. But even when I say feminized men, if you have any hatred or disgust about the feminine, you're going to think that's a bad thing. You're going to be like, no. The same. I mean, it's like this with anything. If you have a negative reaction when you associate something with something else, that's on you. That's on you. If I say feminized men and you have a come apart, examine how you dislike women and think the feminine is weak. I don't think the feminine is weak. I've never once said that the feminine was weak. No. The feminine is very powerful. However, in a man, the feminine is destructive, chaotic, inappropriate, and the feminine in a man makes men weak. The feminine itself is not weak. Glad I could clear that up for you. Glad I could. Some people shut down when you mention God or the devil. These are just words. They mean nothing essentially. They don't. If certain words create immediate rejection, ask yourself, are you reacting to abuse? you witnessed, or are you reacting to your own buried potential? Can you be wrong about what those words mean? Now, we use symbols and imagery in our videos and music to say what words cannot. Like, I've stopped using the word God outside of certain contexts. Like, I'll be at Walmart and somebody will start talking to me about God, and I'm like, bitch, this is Walmart. Save that shit for the church. Like, I don't talk, the only thing I talk about people in Walmart with is Walmart stuff. Where is this? Where is that? Anything good on the clearance rack? But a lot of people talk about God and in inappropriate ways. So I realize that what someone's conception of God might be different than another person's conception of God. And are we even talking about the same thing? The same way that when I talk about feminized men, I'm talking about men who have adopted feminine behaviors and traits as a survival strategy, and it's not appropriate to them. I don't mean anything bad or negative about it, but other people can think that I'm saying something bad or negative about men based on their experience. So these words are ultimately meaningless. And it's at the end of it, it is how you feel deep inside. What is the truth that you know? For me, if I try to adopt a female or a feminine trait, it doesn't work out well for me. It doesn't. I cannot use those abilities and powers to get anything done. I have to be a man and use my masculine container, my masculine field. Men and women are a wonderful complement to each other. And so for the people that think this work is divisive, it's not. It's not. It's unifying in a way that might be too direct. So can you be wrong? This is a serious question. Do you have the ability to be wrong? Do you? Can you be wrong? Many people can't. I love being wrong. So what if something you believe about life, reality, or masculinity is incomplete or false? Wouldn't you want to know that? Wouldn't you want to know that? What if you inherited opinions that were never examined? If you believed something that wasn't true, wouldn't you want to know that? You would, right? But it shocks the shit out of me that I encounter people every day who believe things that are just not true. They are upset about things that are not true. They will post untrue things all over social media and be upset about them. They're not even true. I used to be one of those people. I did. That's why you say it's not true. It's not true. There are people right now who take medications and drugs that don't work, and they believe that they work, but they don't work. There are people right now who eat food that isn't food. Wouldn't you want to know this? Wouldn't you want to know this? It is shocking. It is shocking. But so when you have the ability to be wrong, you learn more stuff. You understand more things because you're not afraid of being wrong. That's why I don't tolerate midwits anymore, or people who need to be right. I don't need to be right. You could prove me wrong, but you're going to have to go through the exact same thing that I did. And if you went through the exact same thing that I did, you would see what I'm talking about. Why can't you just be told? Why can't you just be told? What am I trying to do to you anyway? What am I trying to do for you? Just share the spiritual awakening that I had around masculinity. That's it. Take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. But if you want to take it, I'm here to help. So the man who cannot be wrong cannot grow. You cannot grow if you cannot be wrong. So masculine restoration requires humility, not weakness, humility. So when I realized that I was a man and I entered the brotherhood of all men, it was like, it was very uncomfortable, very scary, because I didn't know what was on the other side of it. But if a man knew what was on the other side of this, he would fucking run to it. My phone would be ringing off the hook if a man truly knew what was on the other side of this. And that's how you know that people cannot be wrong. I talked to a longtime friend yesterday, and he was talking about things going on in his life, and I'm like, well, all that can be solved by remembering your masculinity. Yeah, but Like, you really don't have to go through that. I mean, I could help you remember your masculinity. It'll take 5 minutes. I don't know, man. You don't have to pay for it. I'll do it for free. Let's do it tomorrow. Give me a shout. I'll help you remember your masculinity. I'm busy. I think I have to work. Fucking shocks the shit out of me. The easy, simple, non-complicated thing is just completely off the table. But I bet you, if I said, oh, okay, if you pay me $1,000, I will do a 12-week course for you and help you cope with all the bullshit in your life. Sure, sign me up. Sign me up for the coping. Sign me up for the bypassing. I want the coping and the bypassing. Everybody wants the coping and the bypassing. Even my husband wants the coping and the bypassing. It's a bad thing. Even my husband has a hard time admitting he's wrong. But you know what? He shows up every fucking day and does it anyway. He does it anyway. Okay, so this segment coming up is going to be about shame. And we're going to talk about some things in an explicit way. You have been warned. Early in my relationship with my husband, we started working on shame together. The early days of our friendship and our relationship were so good. We got tons of notes from that day. Like, we would have these deep fucking conversations about life and reality. We still have these deep conversations about life and reality. The issue that happened to us and the thing that kind of shut us down is when we got married, we tried to be around our families. And our families operate, both of our families, we were raised in similar homes. Shame is a currency. Shame, control, manipulation, gaslighting, lies, delusions, illusions. So we tried to live in that environment, and it made us both very, very sick. We're still in many ways recovering from that. Nobody told us, when Eckhart had his awakening, he didn't try to do that. He didn't try to get along with people who, here's something I want you to understand. The ego needs conflict. The ego thrives on conflict and drama. If you are a peacemaker, if you are a soother, if you are just trying to live openly and honestly, people with pronounced egos, they will not like you. They will cause you a whole lot of hell because you're just trying to get along with people. And you realize the point is to never get along. We're not supposed. So I tried to get along with people in my family. What do you mean? We're not supposed to be getting along here. We're supposed to be at each other's throats. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. So it's not our fault, but we did have to realize, like, oh God, we're trying to get along with people who don't want to get along. We're trying to remove shame from people, and they need their shame. People love their shame. Their shame is a story. The shame can become a part of your identity. And probably the most beneficial part of masculine restoration is removing the shame. My process might be different than other people's processes. It's why I don't share it. It's going to be different for every man because every man is ashamed of different things. So what I'm going to talk about here is sort of a base shame that many men experience. So what are you ashamed of? Have you even asked yourself that? Like, shame can become so normal for people that they don't even know that they're ashamed of something. I didn't know I was ashamed of certain things, but I'm lucky that I was an artist because I was able to express myself in a way to say, look, I'm not ashamed of this anymore. And I remember when, I started changing the focus of this channel, and the women that said, you've destroyed your career, Patrick. You've messed up. You have blown up your entire world. Like you have done a very bad thing by realizing who I was, by realizing that I wasn't telling the truth to people, by realizing I was ashamed of things. It was a very difficult process to go through. But I was talking to one of my lesbian friends last night, and lesbians love other women, and they've really helped me understand women a little bit more. And she said that the women felt rejected. They felt that their femininity was rejected. And when women feel rejected, they blame you for things, even though you didn't do anything. I'm not going to get in too much about that. But me not being ashamed of being a man has nothing to do with women at all. And in fact, this work doesn't focus on women, which can be very difficult for women to take and also straight men to understand. Become a man, own your manhood, and then you will be able to be in relationship with other women. It's very difficult to be in relationship with anybody if you don't know who you really are. And if you have a lot of shame, it's going to be really difficult to have a loving, open, honest relationship with anybody. Your coworkers, your lovers, your students, your teachers, anybody. If you're ashamed of something, because you're always protecting that, you're always afraid that somebody might find out something bad about you. And when I was going through this process, largely in October and November of last year, I would go to meetings and I would be afraid that somebody would find my YouTube channel or that somebody would find my music. Now I don't fucking care. Find it, listen to it on Spotify. Go ahead. I'm not ashamed of it. And I'm lucky that I had that experience of it to work through shame in a way. People can look at it or that nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's my shame, you see? And only people who would seek to control or manipulate me or want to hold on to an old idea would even make me feel ashamed of who I am. Do you understand what I'm saying? That I don't have to be ashamed of anything because only the people who would shame me are unconscious. Only people who would shame me for something have not done the inner work that I have done. So it doesn't even matter what other people think at all. Are you ashamed of your body? Are you ashamed of your sexual energy, your competitiveness, your anger? Let's talk about that. I was ashamed of my anger towards my parents, towards Merrick's family. But you know what? When I felt that anger, it was over. I'm not angry anymore. But I was ashamed of that for a while. Now I'm not ashamed of it. It's quite logical to be angry at people who lie to you. Are you ashamed of your desire to lead? Men are natural leaders. I love leading people, but also a leader is essentially a servant. Most of what I do here is service work. And so the desire, I'm not ashamed of wanting to be a leader anymore. I would love to help more men, especially gay men, really grow up and become men and step into their power. Are you ashamed of your desire to be respected? Most men want to be respected. Most people want to be respected, but we also understand that respect is earned. You cannot demand respect. And I actually disrespect people who lie and cheat and steal and manipulate. I don't respect those people at all, but somehow those people demand respect. Hey, if you don't respect me, that's fine. No skin off my dick. Are you ashamed of being a man? Have you ever apologized for being a man? I know I have. Nowadays, if a woman asks me a question, I just tell her like, hey, look, I'm a man. And I'm probably going to give you advice that would involve risk or facing a fear or being uncomfortable or something like that. So I don't know if I'm the right person to ask advice. I don't think I'm a good person to ask advice if you're a woman, because I'm going to tell you my opinions and perspectives from a man's perspective. And it's probably going to be different than what a woman would tell you. A woman might tell you to be, don't risk anything, play it safe, seek comfort. And again, there's nothing wrong with that at all. That's entirely appropriate for a woman. But for a man, initiation is always going to involve discomfort or risk or failure of some sort. It's more exciting. It's more exciting that way. So think about everything that I said. Have you softened your voice, your posture, your opinions so that you would not make others feel comfortable? Masculine restoration is not about becoming aggressive. It is about removing shame from what you already are. I have opinions and you have your opinions. And here's something that I know to be true. If you had lived my life exactly the way that I lived it, you would have the same beliefs and opinions as me. And so when you're speaking your opinion based on your beliefs and your life experience, I respect that because you actually went through it. Your opinions are formed based on your life experience. The problem is most people form their opinions on secondhand information. They form it on something they saw on the news or social media. Most people just repeat opinions from other people. Most people don't even have their own genuine opinions. But when people share their genuine opinion with me, I recognize it as truth. And I'm like, wow, thank you for sharing that. When I share my opinions based from experience and truth, people who also live in the truth are like, yeah, thank you. I never thought of things that way. Thank you. See, on the other side of it, outside of all of that egoic opinion, shame-based posturing, there is lots of joy and harmony in this. There really, really is. But if you soften your voice or your posture, I could say my opinion now knowing that it's from my life experience. And the people that I talk to, they know it's from my life experience. There are people who call me and they ask me for help with things because they know I've been through what they're going through. And that's what we're doing here. Like, I've gone through this and I know other men out there are going through this. Can we help each other? This is a man helping another man. It's been happening for thousands of years. But I do want to talk now about shame around the male body. Not sexual shame, but physical shame. Can you be naked around other men without performing, comparing, shrinking, or posturing? Can you just be naked? Now, Merrick and I are going to a nudist camp this summer, and we are telling people about it because we're not ashamed of it. And the reactions we get from people are wild. Like, most of the women that we've told are like, good. But some of the men are like, ooh, I couldn't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean? You're a grown ass man. You're a grown ass man. You can't be naked around other men. Oh no, it's weird. It's weird. I'm only naked around my girlfriend or the multiple women that I fuck. That's weird to be naked around another man. Well, that's shame. Now, I'm not saying you have to get naked with other men. I'm not saying that at all. But if you have shame around that, sometimes you just imagine things. You don't actually have to do things. You can just imagine things. Like in the sessions that I do with other male clients where we're both naked, we're head and shoulders. Like we don't even see each other, but just the physical sensation around being naked around other men removes shame around the body. You don't have to be ashamed of your body or your dick or your shoulders or your armpits or even the belly that you got. This is something that I'm currently struggling with because I want my abs and I want them now. But I also know that I was overweight for years, so I have to let my skin and my midsection just heal and shrink up. I look at it like healing, but I focus on the skin healing. I focus on it. My husband says I look great and I look fine, but I'm like, no. So I do judge myself when I look in the mirror. I do judge the way that I looked 10 years ago with the way that I look right now. I mean, for my age, I look fine, but I'm like, I want my abs back. And somebody told me that I couldn't have abs at my age. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I'm doing the diet. I'm doing everything because I want my abs back. I want to feel really good in my body. And I want to look at who I am in the mirror and go, yes, this is who I want to be. Getting into the body is so very important. And so I want my body back. That's what I want. That's my goal. That's what I'm working towards. And I'm willing to go to any lengths to get it. But I often compare myself to other men's bodies. And that's something that I work on. So do you immediately measure yourself and feel either superior or inferior? This is something I'm also working on. I mean, I am a 53-year-old man, but I am confronted by younger men at the gym, also some older men too. And I do work on not comparing myself. Like the other day at the gym, I was like, I am 53. And I don't know, some people might be looking at me and saying, man, when I'm old like that guy, I still want to be in the gym. I don't know that. So there's really no need to compare. But it is an issue for me to compare myself to other men, and I'm working on it. I'm working on really being in my skin and liking who I am at my age. I'm really, really working on that. I'm kind of shallow in this. I'm working on my body because we're going to a nudist camp this summer, and I want to feel comfortable and good in my skin when we are there. Maybe that's shallow, but you know what? It's getting me at the gym. It's getting me at the gym. So I myself am still working on this particular shame part. I'm not a master at this. I'm just sharing with you what I'm learning and what I'm going through. So can I be naked around myself without sucking in my stomach, turning away from the mirror, or mentally apologizing for what you see? I do this and this is kind of a feminized trait. Like, instead of looking at myself and accepting myself for who I am, I'm looking at the parts that I still need to work on. Like, I need to work on my legs a little bit more. This could use some work. I'm working on that. But also, I am building a body that I want to have. So I don't know. It's one of those things. But at some point, I am going to have to go through a ritual to accept myself and my body for who I am. And it's probably going to have to involve other men. And it's probably going to have to involve us all standing around naked and accepting each other for who they are. I mean, I have no problem accepting other men for all their different types of body styles. So at some point, I am going to have to put myself in a situation with other men wearing no clothes while we all accept each other. If that sounds gay to you, it does sound gay. But at the same time, it's a kind of a necessary thing to have your body seen by another man and accepted by another man. The tribes used to do this. It's such a difficult thing for me to describe, because at one point it seemed so natural and normal, but then I still got some layers of programming and conditioning that says that's wrong. That's wrong. But at some point I am going to have to do that. I am going to have to go through that in the presence of other men. And it can only happen around other men. A woman cannot validate you in the way that another man can. You actually need to hear it in another man's voice. Men support and admire each other in ways that women could not. Like, if a woman told me I looked fine, it wouldn't mean anything to me. But hearing it from another man, it does something to you. It definitely does. So many men have never simply stood in their own skin without commentary, and that's something I'm working on. The body becomes something to manage, hide, sculpt, or criticize. Masculine restoration asks a brutal question. Can you stand there, fully exposed and not flinch? Not to impress, not to seduce, not to compete, just to exist. If you cannot be naked with yourself, then you are still at war with your own flesh. Yesterday, the weather was warm, so I tried to be naked in the house all day. I just tried, but then I got a little cold. But being able to be naked with yourself is very important, like especially during the beginning of this masculine restoration. It was very important for me to have very little clothes on at any time. It helped get me into the body. It did. So if you can be around yourself and be naked, if you can't do that, you're still at war with yourself. And again, I am working on this, but the cool thing is the more that I work with other men, the better it helps. Like, working with other men helps me. And you'll find this out too when you start working with other men. When we work with each other, we help each other. It's the brohood. So for the next part of this video, we're going to talk about shame about the penis. And I have on my penis pendant for that purpose. Shame around the penis is rarely talked about, but it shapes men more than they realize. Size, function, appearance, comparison, performance. Most men have absorbed silent judgments about all of it. The penis either becomes a source of anxiety or a symbol they feel forced to defend. I think the baiter and the gooner communities have this figured out. There's lots of groups out there for men who love their penises, appreciate their penises. They have some shit figured out. It's remarkable. But a lot of men are ashamed of their own penis. They don't want it to stick out in their pants so much. They try to hide it. They get embarrassed if they get a boner or anything like that. But can you look at your own penis without critique? Now, I remember the first draft I wrote of the book, Masculine Restoration. I was so weirded out by this part. And I'm going to tell you, I was guided by spirits and God to write this book. And there's sections in the book that talk about, I think there's a chapter, the chapter was your dick. I mean, it's one of the things that a man has that a woman does not have. And it made me so uncomfortable to talk about this topic. I've gotten so much better at talking about your dick, my dick, dicks in general. So can you look at your own penis without critiquing it, without measuring it against another man, without tying your worth to it? If your identity rises and falls with that one body part, you are still inside the conditioning. Masculine restoration means your penis is not a secret. It's not a trophy, not a flaw. It is simply yours. I like my penis. Other people have said they like my penis. I enjoy my phallus. I like it. It's mine. I love it. And owning and loving your own penis is of vast importance. And I remember I'm with guys back when I used to hook up with guys. Guys would say, is it big enough, or do you like it? Or a lot of shame around it. But also there were guys that I was with that had small ones, and they were just like, this is me. This is me, man. This is me. Big, tall, small, large, men come in all different shapes and sizes. And not everybody likes big ones. Not everybody likes gargantuan penises. Like, normal penises are just fine. So all of this work, thank you, spirits. So if you are a man that feels some type of way about penises, and just look at a bunch of pictures of them, look at videos, like get to love your penis and other men's penises. If you're straight or gay or whatever, when you're no longer ashamed of it, I can't adequately explain it. I can't. Have I ever been ashamed of my penis now that I think about it? Yes. Yes, I have. Because I had that split. This is my horny sexual life, and here is my other life. Now they're blended. It doesn't mean I go to a meeting and flop my dick out on a table. No. It means that I'm aware of my dick at all times now. I'm just aware of it at all times. It's completely different. Like in my old life, I would just forget about it. And I think that masculine restoration has definitely made it bigger. My husband says that my dick is bigger now than it was 3 or 4 years ago when I was not restored. So can masculine restoration make your dick bigger? Man, I should make a video about that. All right, so it's not that complicated. Masculine restoration is not a costume change. It is not political. It is not about dominating women. It is not about rejecting softness. It is remembering that you are a man. That is it. When you remember, you stand differently. You speak differently. You decide differently. And you stop asking permission to exist. Man, I think this was a really good video. I'm going to enjoy listening back to it. And that's what I do with these videos. I listen back to them and make sure that I understand the teachings before moving on to the next one. So thank you for watching this whole ass video. If you want to be a member, join, and I'm going to put the show notes on the Discord. I'm just getting it started. I don't know if I don't know. So I'm just doing it. I'm just fucking doing it. I'm going to play a song from our album to get this particular video monetized. I want you to have a wonderful day. And don't forget, if you're a man, just be a man.
round. Something soon we'll have to give, close to nothing for to live. Try and stop the ears that ring, burning lungs and eyes that sting, crawling, itching, pulling thoughts, anchored in tighter knots. Stalking you at every turn, all consuming one concern. Vicious cycle round and round, turning, spinning, tighter wound. Something soon we'll have to give, close to nothing for to waking up to feel its bright, shouting loud that restless voice justifies the easy choice. Quick to act and short to think, one track mind, it's off I slink. Sometimes I think it would be easier to let go. Some days I feel weaker, there's so much more to know. My salvation seems impossible and so far away. Can I be whole again someday? To come that one big hit, pain erased, can't feel a bit. Just one more is what you'll say, frazzled nerves and tooth decay. Days and weeks and months go by, friends and money short supply. 'Cause it's the vicious cycle round and round, turning, spinning, tighter wound. Something soon